Welcome to the Voice of America. Michael Amante is our guest in absolutely gorgeous voice.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Thank you very much.
That was beautiful.
Pleasure.
Background training? Have you had formal training?
Yeah, I have. I actually started singing for the Good Sisters of St. Anne's at the age of 6, and they put me in all their shows, and then I started just, singing in rock bands when I was a teenager, and then decided, Italian singing was a great way to meet women, so I started singing opera and started studying in Italy, and it just led from one thing to another.
And Michael Amante is our guest. He's called the People's Tenor. What do you think of that label?
I like it because I haven't come up through Juilliard and the normal venues that a classical singer would come up through. They have a lot of backing and they have a lot of pedigree, whereas I was born in Syracuse, New York, and nobody ever heard of me before, but I can still hit all those notes, so that's the fun part.
And I guess, when you were just getting started, you kind of got a niche for imitations. You have the ability to imitate a few singers. I'm going to put you on the spot and see if we can recognize a few of these.
Well, when I was a teenager, I would sing a lot of rock stuff. When I grew up with the 80s arena bands. Right. So it was Foreigner, Kansas, and Journey for me, and I could do Lou Gramm from Foreigner perfectly. That's why bands loved to have me sing. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. But now that I'm singing Italian stuff, I sometimes kind of do a little bit of Jerry Vale, and it is funny, and the band gets mad when I do it, but people enjoy it, so because I've met Jerry Vale and all those guys, all those old Italian singers.
Well, I guess doing Foreigner and wearing a polo shirt just doesn't mesh.
Yeah, you got to do what you can.
Are you a polo fan? I see, number 14.
I just happen to like the clothes.
I know you're a FIFA World Cup fan.
Yes.
And the World Cup, has just finished.
Right.
And so who were you cheering for?
Well, I was cheering for America, of course. I don't cheer for anyone else.
I thought you would cheer for Italy.
I do cheer for Italy. And in fact, when I was studying it, when I was finishing Italy was doing very, very well. And I had met someone on the street who was selling all these jerseys, so that's what I wanted to buy. And the national pastime in Italy is argument. You can't just pay the price. You got to argue about it, even if you're okay with the price. And the guy I bought it from was actually the chorus master to La Chiesa di Sant'Anna, which is the church inside Vatican City. And he said, well, if you come back and help me pack up, I'll bring you in and meet the Pope. I was like, yeah, sure, you're going to help me meet the Pope. But he actually did. I helped him pack up. We went right in and had dinner, and Pope said, would you like something to eat? I said, well, yes, I'm hungry.
Well, not only has Michael met the Pope, but I guess you performed for presidents, the United States presidents.
Yeah, a number of presidents.
And Pavarotti himself.
Pavarotti as well. He was the only one I've been nervous for. I've had dinner with Sophia Loren and all these movie stars. Nobody I got nervous for. But when I had to sing for Pavarotti, luckily there was a stand in front of me that I could hold on to because I was shaking like this.
And what did he say to you after he heard you sing?
Well, I had been prepared by people who had never seen him, and they said to me that he was going to be hypercritical. He may even boo and whistle, because whistling in Italy is bad. That's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. But he couldn't have been nicer. He was the nicest man, and he said, wow, that was beautiful. I got a call from his agent the very next day. He said, would you like to go to Ottawa, Canada? Pavarotti can't do this thing. You want to do it for him? I said, well, sure. Yeah, he was a sweetheart.
And you've been on stage for, I guess, in stadiums, 80,000 screaming fans.
Yeah.
And toured internationally.
Yeah,
so,
I love her.
Why did you pick classical music? I mean, you said meeting girls.
I really did pick it because I fell in love with the music. I was singing for a gospel church in central New York, and their chorus master was a concert baritone from Philadelphia. And he says, your tonality is perfect for opera. And I said, I love opera. I like to listen to it, but I never ever planned on singing it. And he lent me a recording of a great tenor by the name of Jussi Björling. Was a big tenor at the Met in the 50s, and the song was called Una furtiva lagrima. It's from a show by Donizetti, and it had such a an angst and a painful quality. It goes, una furtiva lagrima negli occhi suoi spunto. So the language just itself lent itself to being listened to and being adored by cheering fans, and women would just go, oh, this sounds so beautiful. And that's really why I started it.
Do you speak fluent Italian?
I'm pretty good with Italian. I haven't been back to Italy for a long time. And it takes 3 months for your brain to like switch over. Because usually what you do in your head is you decode. Say, you're talking about a table. You'd say table is tavolo. And no, after 3 months, it's not a table anymore. It's tavolo. Your brain actually switches over, and you dream in the other language after 3 months. Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, once you get immersed in it and just don't speak English anymore.
And you speak a number of different languages.
I do. I'm pretty good with French, German, Spanish, Italian.
Portuguese?
Not Portuguese.
No?
I haven't been to Brazil. I don't think my wife wants me to go there.
Well, I know that you're very fluent in a number of languages, and it's got to be hard to shift gears and thinking, because the opera, classical music, is sung with so much emotion, and to be able to express that emotion in different languages.
Yeah, well, you have to. The easiest ones for me are Italian and Spanish. German, even though German sounds kind of rough, there are some beautiful things in German. Mozart wrote some beautiful things in German, like Das Zauberflöte is very, very beautiful. But a lot of times you think of German as being marchy, like Sah ein Krab ein Röslein stehen, Röslein auf den Heiden, which is Schubert. And usually you think of that, but there are some really pretty things in German.
Yeah, you are called the Prince of the High C.
Yeah, I got used to singing very high, singing rock music. When I sang Steve Perry and Steve Walsh from Kansas, that was all high stuff. So singing a high C for me is not difficult. There's some guys that got to put on special outfits to sing a high C.
Have you ever broken glass?
No, that's really more the soprano. She's a soprano would sing a high C above mine, so that's a vibration that's moving very, very fast. But for me, a high C is pretty good, and I can sing pretty close to. Well, I don't want to say a high F, but I do sing a high F, which is miles away from a high C.
And so you have a 4-octave range voice.
Yeah. I can sing pretty low too.
That's remarkable.
Which is really weird, because my speaking voice does not sound like a tenor. It sounds like a baritone, because tenors usually talk up like it is. If you listen to Pavarotti, he talks like it is. This is how you sing, But tenors, I love singing high music, and that's really where most people want to hire you for, is to hit the high notes. There's lots and lots of bass baritones around, but very, very few tenors.